I guess that. Hey guys, this is Ted with the Omaha RIA here. I appreciate you guys coming out. We have a few sponsors here. I just want to give a shout out to before we get going. I know Jeff is super excited to jump up here, but first off, back here, Rob with JM Real Estate Capital is here. He's got some giveaways, and before he talks, I do want you guys to know there's a book giveaway over here, and in the back corner, we're giving away a return book, which we appreciate that. Thank you very much. The Psychology of Winning. We also have Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So thanks to JM for those. And then also we have No Bad Days signed copy from Jeff. Heard a lot of good things about this book. So we have a signed copy. If you guys are interested in these books for free, if you're interested in these books for free, just put your name in this basket. There's 0 names in here, so the odds are really good right now. Really good right now. So it's back here. Just drop your card. And then, Rob, can you tell us a little bit about JM Real Estate Capital? Let's go here in between so they can get us on the camera.
Sure. Guys, Rob, JM Real Estate Capital. You guys have rental properties, refinances, purchases, no tax returns, no W-2s. I'm not the banker. I'm the lender. All my money comes from hedge funds. Give me a call. Very simple, 844 we close, or go to my website, jmrecapital.com. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you for being a sponsor. Appreciate it. And we got Orange Property Management here, and then we got Emma. Okay. And you want to tell us a little bit about Orange Property Management and what you guys do for the RIA?
So we offer residential, commercial, tenant placement, and consulting services. If you are a RIA member, you do not have to pay any management fees for your first month of service with us. So make sure you stop by our booth. We can give you all of our pricing and information.
Thank you. Thank you for being a sponsor. Marty McGuire, Blackstone Insurance. You've been making a presence here lately, buddy. It's been nice to see you around here. So, Marty, you want to tell us a little bit about Blackstone Insurance and what you do for the RIA?
I am an insurance broker. I work with a lot of real estate investors. I'd say that's probably 70-80% of my business, doing 1 to 4 unit dwellings, apartment buildings, hotels. As a broker, I have access to multiple carriers. I go out there, I shop it, find the best rate, best value for your insurance dollars. And it's a wild ride out there right now with insurance. And so trying to stay on top of it and bringing on, hopefully, some new property programs that are in the works right now, not quite solidified, but should help ease some of the rate issues and make sure that you're getting covered correctly. So if I can be a resource, look me up, Marty McGuire, Blackstone Insurance Group. I'm happy to help.
Thank you. So I use Orange Property Management to manage my Airbnbs, and then Marty does all my insurance. One thing that is kind of interesting that I didn't know before I talked to you, and we brought this up a handful of times, is like if you have an Airbnb, your regular insurance does not cover it, and you got to be a little bit careful on how you handle the insurance on that, right? Because in the end, if you have a fire or something, you have an Airbnb, you're not going to get that coverage. So it was Marty that actually educated me on that, and super excited for having you here and being a sponsor. So thank you guys, appreciate it. Okay, so let's get into the good stuff. So just some announcements I'm going to go over, just like we always do. But first off, like I said before, my name's Ted. I run the Omaha RIA with my wife, Jessica. Unfortunately, Carson had a concert tonight that I had to miss, so Jessica's at the concert. So if you see her next time, say hi. And then Owen Dashner over there and I have the podcast called RIA Radio. We had some fun doing some interviews this morning on a Tuesday, which is not normal for us. But I do want to give a shout out to some of our new and renewed sponsors. So this is important to you guys if you hold memberships, so you guys know that these are out there. But Peterson Brothers Realty is a new gold sponsor, and they are giving 25% off management for the whole entire year. Brianna Knott is the contact there. Albert's Flooring renewed as a gold sponsor, 10% off for members. Midwest Title upgraded their sponsorship to a gold sponsor, Dave Welty. We have a new national sponsor, RE Simply. And what RE Simply is it's an all-in-one real estate investor CRM software that helps you manage data, marketing, sales, and operations. Is anybody using that software right now? I know that Wyatt Simon mentioned that it was it's pretty much the best of the best out there, and they're one of our new sponsors for our podcast for the next 2 months. So we really appreciate that. Also, Frankel renewed their sponsorship as a gold sponsor. So Jordan Downey, if you're needing accounting services, especially with taxes coming up, they do offer an hour free. And then Schlick Construction is signed up as a resource sponsor. They're doing 10% off. And Solid Roofing is a resource sponsor doing 10% off. So thank you to those sponsors. But today's sponsors, I definitely want to get into. But first off, who's going to be talking? Ron, Shauna, both of you, dynamic duo. So tonight, our drink sponsor, Momentum. Good to see you. Thank you for coming out. We tell them a little bit about your company, what you guys offer, and then to come out and have some drinks with us afterwards, or we can do appetizers too. So,
yeah, so we don't drink, but we might stop in there and just say hey. We started Momentum Property Solutions just about in November. We're a small company. I've been doing my own portfolio though for about 30 years. I also worked at dialysis company where I did commercial properties for 26 years. So hooked up with Shauna, and she handled office for Senator Mike McDonald, and she's great at all of that stuff that I'm not great at. She's also great at painting, tile work, and cleaning, and she's very, let's see, I don't want to say confrontational, but she does not mind telling a tenant what's up. So super helpful in that. So anyway, we're Momentum Property Solutions. We're just taking on small portfolios. Although we are one of the best, we are not taking on any more portfolios right now. So if you do have a small one though and you want to get in line, let us know.
thank you. And tonight's sponsor, loud. Tonight's sponsor is New Image Construction. They were trying to be here tonight, but they're remodeling a restaurant for the MGM Grand in Vegas, and their plane got delayed. So they called me and said that wanted to apologize for not being here in person and take up the booth spot, but they did definitely want to reach out and said that they're definitely focusing on doing commercial real estate and doing investor flips. One thing that they offer that nobody else offers is if you're doing a construction job and they allow you to buy all the supplies and bring them in and without zero markup. So that's one thing that they're doing at New Image. So thank you to New Image for being a sponsor today too. Hey guys, can we quieten it up in the back? If you do have some conversations you want to have, feel free to use the hallway or in the back area. Appreciate it very much. Okay, so updates on the podcast. If you guys haven't checked out when we had Sarah Weaver in town in December, that podcast just came out. And so check that episode was out. Tomorrow we have David Dodge coming out. David Dodge is a wholesaler out of St. Louis. He's done thousands of transactions down there. He spoke in Omaha a couple years ago at the Omaha Real Estate Meetup Group. Also, we have Alex Camacho coming up, Mark Simpson, Justin Cambria, Ashley Kerr, and we just did an interview today with Jeff Holst. So kind of give you an idea of some of the podcasts that we have coming up. Special thank you to the Holiday Inn over here. So Kelly and Jenny are back there. Girls, you want to wave? Take care of those girls. They take good care of us. It's one of the main reasons we love coming back here so much. Those girls always take amazing care of us. So also, if you get food here, just give them your table number, and that tab can go over to the other side so you can go back and forth for after the event. And if you show them your RIA card, you do get 25% off your meal tonight. So take advantage of that. If you just signed up for membership, just show them a receipt that you paid, and they can apply that also. So thank you for that. If you showed up and you parked in the back, there's a QR code to scan. Scan that code. The code is REIAG for free parking. They will ticket you, so make sure you take advantage of the parking code. And if you have too much fun tonight and you need a safe place to crash, Rooms are only $99 here for if you show your RIA card. So don't drive drunk. Be safe. Upcoming events that we have going on. I put some flyers out here, but we're doing a special event next week in this room. And we have Wyatt Simon coming to speak. Wyatt, where are you at? You want to come talk about your event real quick that you have coming up? Hey, well, you got to come over here so we can hear you, buddy. The live stream people are not going to like hearing it that way. So,
well, hey, everybody. I'm excited. Next week, I'm going to be covering the two biggest topics that I can think of when it comes to real estate: how to buy and how to manage properties. And I'm going to go over just the fundamentals of how to buy properties in this market as the market has changed. And so if you guys are wondering and learning how to buy deals now, I would recommend coming to that. And it's totally free. Hope to see you there.
And this is going to be a crossover event. So this is partnering with West Omaha Meetup Group, Omaha Real Estate Meetup Group, Omaha RIA, and Rookie RIA. So we're all promoting to our groups. We just want to have a fun event and bring everybody together. Again, it'll be in this room, 6 p.m. This time next Tuesday. So there's flyers on your table if you want more information on that. Oh, it's next Wednesday? Okay, so next Wednesday. Sorry about that. Also on your table here, we are doing an event we call Real Estate Rethought, Unique Investment Perspective. So I picked out people that are doing different types of real estate investing, not just your traditional single families, multifamilies. So we're going to do a panel. We haven't done a panel in a very long time. That's probably been at least a year. So I thought we were kind of due. But we have Owen Dashner, Brad Bader, David Bader, Ben Catt, and Colin Schwartz on the panel. And Owen is going to be talking about what he does with buying hotels and also hard money. Brad Bader is going to be discussing doing storage units. David Bader is a wholesaler on multifamilies in Lincoln. Ben Catt, he literally has everything, but he's going to focus mainly on doing not storage units, but campgrounds and trailer parks. Am I always get in trouble? We can call them trailer parks, right? So trailer parks. And then Colin Schwartz is going to talk about investing with other people's money. He's got about 2,500 units that he uses other people's money to invest in. So we'll have a lot of fun with that. I am all over the place. Problem is, last night we didn't get any sleep, so I apologize. We did the red eye. I picked up Jeff from the airport. We had a cigar and old fashioned. Thought we were good. Came back here. And there was a plane that got emergency landed here last night. So we sat in line for over an hour because there was one person that got just slammed here last night. And so I didn't get home until like 2:30, 2:45 in the morning. Got up at 6 in the morning, and so I'm running on fumes. So I apologize. I'm all over the place. But and then last event I want to talk about is we're doing Mastering the Market Real Estate Strategies with Colin Schwartz and Jason Belt of Leavenwealth. So lots of good events coming up, and we got more events that are in plans right now. So I'm excited to let everybody know about those. But without any further ado, because I am all over the place, and I just want to hand over to Jeff, the master. But tonight at Omaha RIA, we have a privilege of introducing a speaker who is inspiring us. He's successful. Join us in a world, Jeff, we're going to join Jeff's world pretty much tonight, right, Jeff? And a man whose life story is a testament to resilience and determination. Jeff is not just an accomplished attorney, graduating early and with honors from Michigan State College in law and holding an MBA. His life has been an extraordinary adventure. By 30, he had explored Machu Picchu, marveled at the pyramids of Egypt, swam with sharks in Belize, backpacked across Europe. He is a true adventurer, having conquered Mount Kilimanjaro and journeyed to Antarctica, making him a member of the exclusive 7-Continent Club. However, his life's twists and turns brought Jeff to a crucial juncture, battling on severe health crisis and facing financial ruin. But in true Jeff fashion, he turned adversity into a triumph. At 45, he is a multimillionaire real estate investor with an impressive portfolio of over 350 residential units and several commercial properties. Jeff's journey intersects with ours too. Owen and I first met him on Bourbon Street during the 2021 Bigger Pockets Conference. Since then, our paths have crossed at 3 Bigger Pockets conferences where we have shared countless insights. Jeff has also been a recurring guest on our podcast, bringing invaluable knowledge and stories to our audience. Just today, we wrapped up an amazing 2.5-hour podcast session with him, packed with insights and laughter. Jeff is the co-host and founder of the Last Life Ever podcast and promoting a life of fulfillment. He's also has a podcast called Old Fashioned Real Estate Show, where the real estate wisdom meets bourbon. He also is author of a book called No Bad Days and How to Make Every Day Great, embodying a philosophy that has guided him in impressive turnaround. And we learned today that you wrote another book. What was the name of that book again? Based on bankruptcy? Should I file bankruptcy? There you go. And it makes you a whopping, what, $6 a month now after all these years? Yeah, okay. Well, there we go. As we gather here to hear from Jeff, let's get ready to welcome a man who has had not only faced incredible challenges, but also mastered the art of living the life to its fullest. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us and give a warm welcome to our guest of honor, Jeff Holst. Test.
Ooh, fun.
And if you guys have questions today, we ask that you just come to the microphone here. And if you cannot get up or get to a microphone, raise your hand high, and I'll come to you guys so we can get you on camera.
Cool.
So,
Yeah, cool. So first of all, I want to meet that guy. That guy sounded cool. Like Ted made me sound a lot better than I really am. So I hope you guys aren't expecting too much. And like Ted said, we did get almost no sleep last night. I think I went to sleep at like 3, and then this morning we did a 2.5-hour podcast that included Old Fashioned. So we started drinking at 10 a.m. So I have to apologize if I seem a little off also, although I will be honest, I haven't drank since that podcast. So now I'm in a gray zone where we probably just need to get some Old Fashions and then we'll have a lot more fun. But anyway, so thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate it. I'm really excited to be here. I think they build this talk as, what do we call it? Jeff Holst, no bad days philosophy applied to real estate or something like that. That's cool. We could talk about that if y'all want, but honestly, I would like to change the title to Jeff Holst, No Bad Days Philosophy applied to how to live an extraordinary life full of opportunity and without regrets. So that's what I would have called it. So what I'm going to talk about today, and I don't have a slide presentation or anything, I'm just going to chat. And at any time if someone has a question or they're like, whoa, I don't understand what you said, just raise your hand, let me know, get up and ask. I don't care. I'm happy to talk about that. And I will talk about real estate if you guys are okay with that, but only in as much as the fact that I love real estate, right? So I try to live my life through doing things that I enjoy. And for the last several years, I've been having a lot of financial freedom because of my real estate investing. My portfolio has grown almost on its own the last couple of years. We haven't really bought that much, but you get debt pay down, you get the amortization gains, you get the appreciation, rent increases, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I want to tell you first about No Bad Days, if that's cool. And I have my book here, and I think you can win a free copy. I don't know how many people have entered, but the book here tells a little bit more about the story of my life. And I don't want to spend a ton of time on that because we've covered it on the podcast twice now. And it's on a million other podcasts. If you just Google me, you can hear my whole life story, or you can just buy the book for $15 on Amazon or something like that. But I want to tell you about how I think about No Bad Days and what I think is the most extraordinary thing that I've ever done, which is giving up bad days. I haven't had a bad day since I was 17. So who in the room's had a bad day this week, this year? The last decade? Oh, yeah, so everyone in the room? Is there anyone who hasn't had a bad day in more than a decade? Oh, I love you. All right, 2 people? All right, cool. So we should just learn from them. It's been 29 years for me because I'm in my mid-40s, like Ted said, and I gave up bad days in a very simple way. I just made a decision. And I know it sounds crazy when you say it like that, but the reality is somewhere in the world right now, someone's having the very best day of their life. Somewhere else in the world, someone's having the worst day of their life. So the day is objectively neither good nor bad. The day is whatever that person is perceiving the day to be. And when you recognize that, you get to choose how you perceive the day to be. You're going to have good and bad stuff happen to you. It's just going to happen. You're going to, like Ted alluded to, I've had some health challenges. I was diagnosed with leukemia at 30. It drove me into personal bankruptcy. I was a bankruptcy attorney. And I mean, I was the Better Call Saul of West Michigan. You know, I had a television commercial. You guys can find that on YouTube. It's called Meet Mary. It's pretty funny. But it was like, you know, we had the television commercial. We had, you know, phone book ads, which sounds crazy now, but like we were spending a fair amount of money on marketing, and we were doing bankruptcy. And this was like 2008. I don't know if you guys remember 2008, but there was a lot of people filing bankruptcy. So we're making a lot of money. And then I went to Peru, to Machu Picchu, and I'm at Machu Picchu, and I'm feeling off. I don't know how else to describe it. I thought it was the elevation, right? I was just really fatigued, really tired. I was having trouble recovering. And I'm like, man, I'm out of shape. Like I am obviously, but you know, I was like, I was blaming it on that. And I was like, man, I'm just lazy and I got to work out more or something, but I just couldn't get better even when I got home. So I went in for my first doctor's appointment in, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years. Cause when you're 30, you don't really go to the doctor very much. They did routine blood work, found out that my white blood cell count was around 258,000. It's supposed to be like 5,000, 6,000, something like that. Didn't know anything about leukemia at the time, other than I had one cousin who had died of leukemia. Her white blood cell count when she died was around 150,000. So I kind of went, I guess I'm dead. Like that's the answer, right? So I had this epiphany that I was going to die. And I remember my dad coming into the hospital and saying something like, oh, hey, you know, in February, we can go to Australia. We're going to do all this fun stuff. And I was like, this is in September. I was like, I just hope I make it till Christmas, right? That's the result of the shock that I was under. And, you know, my brother, he came into the hospital that day and he said to me, he said, I bet today's a bad day, because I was already 13 years into no bad days at this point. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't get diagnosed till 10 o'clock at night. Most of the day was pretty good. Right. So that was a good day for me. Like, I had a good time. I got to watch Heroes. You guys remember that show, Heroes? So I was watching Heroes, and I got a call from a doctor at 10 o'clock at night. And he's like, hey, you got to go to the hospital right now. You have leukemia. Like, you have to go right now. And I said, okay. And he said, you need to repeat what I just said. And I said, you said I have to go to the hospital right now. And he's like, okay, which one are you going to? And I tell him which hospital I'm going to go to. He's like, cool, I'll call ahead. It's real important you go right now. And so I said, okay. And I hung up. And then I turned to my now ex-wife and I said to her, I said, let's watch the rest of the show. You know, like, let's just watch the rest of the show. I want to see how the show ends. And she said, what did the doctor say? You know, like, what's going on? And I was like, it's no big deal. Look, let's watch the show, right? And I did that because in that moment, I knew that as soon as I admitted, right, what was going on, it was going to change my life. What I didn't know was how it would change my life. And, you know, I look at that day and, you know, I got to see the rest of the show, not for another 2 weeks, because my ex was very insistent on hearing what happened, which I can't really blame her. But so I told her those words, you know, I have leukemia and I have to go to the hospital. And then she freaked out and couldn't drive, really upset. So then I called her dad. I said, hey, Dad, come over. Like, I need you to come to the house. And so he shows up and he sees his daughter crying, you know, and like really upset. And I get emotional talking about this, even though I've had this, like, I've told this story so many times, but I get emotional. But he sees his daughter crying and he says, Jeff, what's going on? You know, like, what's going on? And I'm like, we got to go to the hospital. And he's like, why? So then I tell him, and then he freaks out and starts crying. And he's a good guy. He called me today, actually. You know, my ex and I have been divorced for about 1.5 years now. And I talk to her dad almost every day still, right? Because he's just a really great guy, invests in my real estate deals with me. And like, you know, he's part of my life for a long time. And anyway, but so eventually we do get to the hospital and I have this conversation with my brother. I tell him it's still a good day. And I'm like, see, it works. Doesn't matter what happens. You know, bad stuff happened to me. I still had a good day. And I'm like, it was like vindication for me. And you might say on one hand, like, well, really, like, leukemia is pretty bad, you know? And like, yeah, you got to watch Heroes, but which one's more important to you, Heroes or leukemia? And I mean, I would say it doesn't really matter. It matters how I was perceiving that day. But then I woke up the next morning and that was actually a harder day, right? Because I'm in the hospital. My ex finally went home to get some rest. And it was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I was like, I have leukemia. I'm probably going to die. The doctors hadn't told me anything. I just knew that it was real bad. And I thought, what am I? How do I find something positive today? I'm really struggling with this because this is a personal identifying statement, right? If you tell people you never have bad days, it becomes who you are. So I'm like, I have to figure this out. I have to figure out how not to have a bad day today. And while I was having this thought, this nurse walks into the hospital room, and it was a shift change apparently. She looks at me and she says, "Oh my God, Jeff, I'm so sorry to see you here." And I looked at her and I went, "Oh my God, Shelly, I'm so happy I'm here." And I instantly felt better because I was like, wow, this lady was a babysitter of mine. Like I hadn't seen her in 15, 20 years, right? And I was just really excited to see her. And we had a really nice conversation. And I'm pretty sure to this day, she thinks I'm insane because, I'm in the hospital dying and I'm going, "Yeah, it's so great to see you." And again, you might say it's a babysitter on one hand and it's leukemia on the other. Which one's more important? But the truth is that day is the best day of my life, for sure. 100% sure that that's the best day of my life because it was that day that I decided that I didn't know how long I was going to live. It was that day that I got to make a choice to do the things that I wanted to do. Yeah, I had done all kinds of cool stuff, the Machu Picchu and see the pyramids and all kinds of really fun stuff, but I had gone to law school. Cool. Like it. Got a little mood music going on. So I'd gone to law school and I had done that because I wanted to make money, right? I wanted to make enough money to be able to travel and to do these things, right? And I didn't know for sure what I wanted to do. So I just was like, oh, I'm going to go to law school, become a lawyer. I'm going to make money and I'm going to travel the world and it's going to be really cool. But the truth is I was a no bad days lawyer who was having an okay time doing a job that he didn't really love. And I always wanted to invest in real estate. I was such a weirdo. Like when I was 15, I was staying up late, sneaking out of my bedroom to watch late night infomercials, right? That's not what most 15-year-old boys sneak out to watch, right? They watch other stuff cartoons or whatever. I don't know. But I would sneak out and watch Carlton Sheets No Money Down videos, right? And I would try to beg my parents to buy me real estate books and stuff like that because I couldn't do it myself. And I remember when I was first learning to drive, I was driving through this one area with my mom in the car, and I saw this building with a for sale sign on it. It was this giant, empty, vacant factory building. And I'm like, I want to own stuff like that. And I think she thought I was insane, right? But I kept thinking to myself, I'm going to do this someday when I get some more money and I have time to invest and I have, I'm more stable and my law practice is under control. And all of that changed in 1 minute while I was sitting in the hospital. And I saw the babysitter. And it was then that I said two things. One, if I live through this, I'm not going to wait to do the things that I want to do. So that's lesson number one, right? And that number one lesson changed everything for me. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here right now. I know that for sure. So anyway, that is how I think about no bad days. It's true that you will have bad things happen to you, but I'm going to give you two quick digressions on this because I think it's useful. So you guys know who Hal Elrod is? He wrote this book called The Miracle Morning. Actually, at that same event where I met Ted and Owen for the first time, I met Hal Elrod. He was keynoting at the Bigger Pockets conference at the time. And Hal Elrod has this quote that he said, and his quote is, the moment that you accept 100% responsibility for everything in your life is the moment you can change anything in your life. Think about that for a second. It's powerful stuff. The moment you accept responsibility for everything in your life is the moment you can change anything in your life. So now, was it my fault that I had leukemia? Absolutely not. It was just a random quirk of nature. But was it my responsibility? Absolutely. No one else is going to take control of how I respond. I could have went in the corner and cried, and then I would have died. Instead, what I did is I woke up and I said, whoa, I might die. I need to live my life, and I need to figure out how to live the best version of my life going forward. From this point forward, I need to live for real. And so that's what I did. I started calling my doctor incessantly and saying hey, if you had the exact diseases I have in the exact time and the exact condition, what doctor would you go to? And I mean, he said to me like, well, there's some good doctors here. There's some good. I'm like, no. Like, if you had what I had, who would you talk to? Like, what doctor would you see? And he gave me a name. He said, she's not taking new patients. She is a research physician in MD Anderson in Houston. And I said, that's fine. And then I started calling her office incessantly until she took me on as a new patient. And I'm here today, right? Because I took responsibility for what I was doing. Now, it turns out when I saw her, she said, oh, your doctor's doing exactly what I would do. And so I didn't actually need to see her. So the point is a little softened by that fact. But the reality is still the same. Like, because I didn't believe in having bad days, and because I believed in this radical responsibility, like Hal Elrod preaches, right? I said, I have to figure this out. And because of that, I was able to make that into, like I said, the very best day of my life. That's the day that changed everything. That's the day that got me to buy my first real estate. Less than 2 years later, after I'd been driven into bankruptcy, I was a bankruptcy attorney and I went bankrupt. And I mean, that was a hard day too. That was another challenging day. Like, you're going to have challenging days. I was sitting there and like getting sick is one thing, but like going bankrupt is like a failure, right? Like, I didn't feel like a failure when I got sick, but I did kind of feel like a failure when I went bankrupt. And I remember sitting there and there's different trustees. Hopefully none of you ever have to do bankruptcy. And if you do, you can read that book that Ted mentioned, the Should I File book, but don't, because it's real bad. This book's way better, I promise. But when you go through the bankruptcy process, you have to go through this thing called a creditors meeting, where you sit down and the trustee in the bankruptcy, they represent all the creditors, and they ask you questions to see like what kind of assets you have and decide like how they're going to divide it up and how they're going to get money for your creditors. And for a lot of people, they don't have any real assets when they go to bankruptcy, so it's just a formality. But I knew this process really well because I had done these hearings over and over and over again, and I knew that some of the trustees are more difficult than others, right? And one of the trustees was particularly annoying, and I never wanted to have to sit across from him. And I thought, don't want that trustee. There's 5 trustees in Grand Rapids at the time, and 2 of them were hard, 3 of them were easy. So I hired one of the 2 hard ones to be my bankruptcy attorney, conflicting her out, right? Like, this is taking responsibility for your situation, even in these crazy situations. So conflicted one out. And then I talked to the other one. I thought maybe if I just ask him some advice before I file, he might conflict himself out. That didn't work. Thanks, Jeff. His name is Jeff too, by the way. Anyway, so I sit down at this hearing and I got him, right? Like, that's my luck. I'm sitting there and I'm actually kind of terrified. And I talked to my wife through the whole process. She knew exactly what was going to happen, and we're both going to have to file. And we're sitting there, and they start these hearings and they say like they read some stuff into the record, case number, all this stuff. And then they do a recording of the whole thing and they ask you the same kinds of questions over and over again. It's really a very obnoxious process, especially if you sit through like a few hundred of them like I had, right? But it is a little bit different when it's you. And he started his recording and then he stopped his recording and he looked at me and he said, Jeff, I'm really sorry to see you here today. Just wanted you to know that. It's the nicest thing the guy ever said to me, right? And it made that day better. And that's the thing that I hung on to that day to make that day a good day. And those 2 days were 2 of the hardest days ever. But those, like I said, just like the bankruptcy, just like the leukemia diagnosis caused me to start thinking about real estate investing, the bankruptcy freed me up to do the things that I did. I quit my job. I stopped practicing law. I moved to Tennessee. And within 6 months, I started buying real estate. In 2011, in the middle of the Great Recession, when no one was financing anything and I had 0 credit and no money because I just filed bankruptcy, I started investing in real estate. And by 2016, I quit my corporate job and retired. 6 years from bankruptcy to retirement. And I did that because I took responsibility for the life that I had. And I looked at the situation I was in and I said, I can do this. And the reason I was able to do that is because I had that positive mental attitude to say, when this garbage happens to me, I'm going to just deal with it. And I didn't know this quote then, but I know it now. And this is the second part of the digression. And then we're going to talk about a formula that I've created where you all can adopt that will help you live an extraordinary life full of opportunities with no regrets. And I will leave you with 2 questions that I think will change your life. And I hope that's okay with you all. And then I'll just answer questions about real estate until you all get bored and go home. That's how we're going to do it. So the second digression is this. There's this quote from Buddha that I really like. I'm not Buddhist, but I really like this quote. And what he said was, and he was talking about worry, but I apply it to everything negative in my life. He said, it never makes sense to worry because either you can do something about it or you can't. And if you can do something about it, you should just go do that thing. And if you can't, it doesn't help to worry. It doesn't do you any good to worry, right? You just have to deal with it. So when you get diagnosed with leukemia, and I hope that never happens to anyone in this room, right? You can say this to yourself. You can stop for a second and you can say to yourself, is there something I can do about this? And if the answer is yes, then go do that thing. Don't spend time being like, whoa, my life is terrible. Woe is me. And, it works both ways. Tony Robbins calls this the reticular activating system. It's really called the Bader-Meinhof effect. But it's the idea that your subconscious mind defaults to the familiar. So I have a friend, I'll use that term loosely, a person I know that I swear if he won $10 million in the lottery and stubbed his toe on the way to collect it, he would think it was a terrible day. Do you guys know people like that? That doesn't matter what happens to them, they just never see the positive in it. I just do the opposite. That's it. That's the whole thing, right? Good and bad stuff's going to happen to you. Just like I said at the beginning, it's going to happen to every single person, probably every single day for the rest of your life. And you just got to pay attention to the good stuff and deal with the bad stuff because you can either do something about it or you can't. And if you can do something about it, go fix it, build a plan, call the doctor, find the best doctors, find somebody who's an expert in bankruptcy to help you if you're in that situation, learn how to make money, figure out whatever port you are in life and just figure out the best way to respond to it. That's the Hal Elrod quote in a nutshell. It's just so powerful is that you get to choose how you respond. I mean, honestly, this is like grandma wisdom, right? This is the kind of stuff that everyone knows on some level, but we just don't talk about it enough. And that is that when things happen, we get to choose how we respond and we got to play the cards we dealt. I mean, this is Kenny Rogers, right? You know when to hold them and know when to fold them kind of thing. It's just play the cards you're dealt, show up, and you're going to be there. So anyway, have you guys heard I want to move on to my formula that I think will change your life. So you guys heard the opportunity knocks. Everyone says that. Opportunity knocks. Anyone heard that? I mean, for sure, you guys have heard that, right? Okay, so does anyone believe that? Yeah, who thinks opportunity knocks? Anybody? Okay, 6, 7 people. Who doesn't think it happens that way? Yeah, that's right. It doesn't. I don't think opportunity knocks at all. I think the reality is that. Did you have a question, or you just? As long as I'm doing the knocking. Yeah, that's right. Right. As long as I'm doing the knocking, because that's the thing about opportunity knocks. It's kind of BS. It's like opportunity is always, always, always there. We have to grab the door and pull it open, and walk through the door. So the trick in life this is the reason I bring this up now is because this is the thing that's the formula for an extraordinary life. And I'm going to take extraordinary for half a second and digress on this. The word extraordinary itself is an extraordinary word. So extraordinary is really 2 words, extra and ordinary. So if you want to have something extraordinary, you just got to do a little bit extra, right? Do what the ordinary person does and then do a little bit more. And so what you need to do is figure out how to find opportunity, how to identify opportunity, and then take action on that opportunity. It's about taking radical responsibility for the situation you find yourself in. And that's where my formula comes in. So here's my formula. You guys can all steal it. I hope you write it down or memorize it. It's very simple. There's 2 variables. It's 1, inspired thought plus the right action. That's how you find opportunities. If you can get an inspired thought and then take the right action on that thought, you will have opportunities that are unbelievable forever and ever and ever. And what Ted didn't tell you in the introduction is, I don't just invest in real estate. I'm building sailboats. We talked about that on the podcast. I created my own cigar line, right? I travel the world constantly. And the reason I'm able to do these things is because I have followed this formula over and over and over and over again. So here's how it works. Inspired thought. How do we find and identify opportunity? That's the first part of the formula. You can't take action if you don't see opportunities. So do anybody in this room, you guys heard of Elon Musk? Do we know who he is, right? It's the second richest man in the world as of today. I heard this morning he's no longer the richest man in the world. Don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I heard. So does anyone believe that Elon Musk has like a special ability to make money that no one in this room could do? Because if you do, you're in the wrong place. Because the reality is Elon Musk's real good at what he does, but his real wisdom comes, in my estimation, from seeing opportunity that other people don't see. So I believe that Elon Musk, any of us could be doing the same stuff as him if we really wanted to. No, I mean, we might have different skill sets and we have different ideas and we have different values and all that, but we're here on earth for a short period of time, and some people do really extraordinary stuff, and most people just kind of go to work, do their 9 to 5. Maybe they raise some kids. And if they're real lucky, they get to retire for 10, 12 years, right? That's what most people do. And, MJ DeMarco wrote this book called The Millionaire Fastlane. I don't know if anyone read it, but MJ DeMarco's book, it's an all right book, but the real key point, the thing that really stuck out to me in that book was he talked about how bad the trade was that we make. And the trade that we're talking about is trading 5 days of our life for 2 days off, trading the week for the weekend. That's a bad deal. If I said to you, Ted, hey, I'm going to give you $20,000 if you give me $50,000, would you do it? You'd make that deal? Yeah, so you'd give me $50,000 and take my 20? That's great. So do you have it on you? Okay, it's cool. All right, we'll yeah. All right. But that's the point. It's a bad trade, right? 5 for 2. It's a bad trade. No one makes that deal in real life except for we all do it. We all go to work 5 days a week so that we can have the weekend off. To a lot of people, Monday or Sunday night is the saddest time in their life, and Friday when they get out of work is the happiest time in their life. To me, it's the opposite. I get real sad on Friday night because that's when my friends come out and bug me, right? Because they got out of work and they want to bug me. I want to have my freedom. I like to be able to just, go out on a Wednesday or go to Australia on a Wednesday on a whim, right? Like I want time freedom. I interviewed this guy on my podcast, Last Life Ever. His name was Dr. Tony Pinnells. And Tony said, the secret to living life is figuring out how to buy back your time as soon as possible. Right. So this is the thing that resonates with me. And this is the thing that I realized when I got sick and I was like, man, I don't know how long I have to live, is I didn't want to make that trade anymore. I don't want to trade 5 for 2. I also don't want to trade 50 weeks of my life for 2 weeks of vacation or 3 or 4 weeks or even 5 weeks of vacation, which sounds amazing to some people. It sounds depressing to me. I traveled 40 weeks last year. And not just to come talk at events. I only talked, I think, 3 or 4 events last year. Last year, I was just like, I'm going to Australia. I'm going to Fiji. I'm going to Cabo. I'm going to, I'm going to go to Belize, right? I'm just going to do these things. I'm going to go places and do fun things. And I also made, 26 trips to Puerto Rico last year. Only 2 so far this year, but I am going Thursday if anyone wants to come with. So if you don't have a job and you have time freedom, just come to Puerto Rico and hang out with me. It's fun. Trust me. I invited Ted, but he said something about having to work. I don't know. Okay, yeah, kids are that's an acceptable excuse, I guess. But at any rate, so like we make these trades all the time, and I wanted to get away from those trades. So the way that we find opportunity, the way that we get inspired, is we have to expose ourselves to new thoughts, new ideas, and new actions, right? Reading books, listening to podcasts, coming to events, hearing people like me speak, hearing other speakers speak. Those are great ways to get inspired thoughts. And I've had multiple times in my life where I've gone to a conference and it's changed the course of my life, right? Where I've heard an idea and been like, whoa, I need to do that. The sailboat thing is a good example of that. It wasn't at a conference, but I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. He was talking to me about this problem he was having. And I was like, we should fix it by making our own sailboats. Most people don't think that way. But the reason I can think that way is because I've been conditioning myself to wake up. And that's the thing, we all have to wake up, right? Because like there's this thing in psychology called the Iago trance. Has anyone heard of that? The Iago trance? Do you know everything, or did you just listen to every speech I've ever given for all time? Like every time the guy's raising his hand, he's like, oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I got you. But the Iago trance is, and if I'm wrong, feel free to correct me because like I'm not a psychologist, but the way I understand it is it's kind of like when you drive to work and you go the same route every single day and you don't really notice what's going on, right? It's a defense mechanism that our brain has to not pay that much attention. Our subconscious just kind of takes over and does the motions. When you brush your teeth, you don't think about like which way to turn the toothbrush and stuff like that, or how much water to put on it, or toothpaste. You just do it over and over again. It's really useful, like looking both ways before crossing the street's useful, right? But the problem with it, and the big downside is we can be like, have you ever seen the movie Click with Adam Sandler, right? So in this movie Click, Adam Sandler's character gets given a remote control by Christopher Walken's character. I think Christopher Walken's like a TV repairman in there or something. And in the remote control, it allows him to like fast forward through boring things in his life. So his wife starts arguing with him. He hits fast forward. His dog's taking too long to go to the bathroom. He hits fast forward. And pretty soon he's fast forwarded through these huge chunks of his life. And that's what we do when we don't wake up. It's a metaphor for the Iago trance. So I think that the real secret and the big takeaway, the two questions that I told you I would leave you with that I think will change your life if you apply them weekly or daily, are as the first step to doing this. So the questions that I like to ask people, and what I ask myself almost every single day, is this is the first one, when is the last time you did something for the first time? Like for real, when's the last time you did something for the first time? Like whether it doesn't have to be something crazy, it doesn't have to be skydiving, it can be like taking a different route to work. When I was first quitting my job, I decided to drive an Uber for a little while because I wanted to learn about neighborhoods, and it forced me to go different routes around my town. I learned so much about real estate investing by driving for Uber. I didn't have to drive for Uber. I quit my job. I had all the money I needed. I could have never worked again the rest of my life, but I wanted to learn more about real estate investing, so I did something different. It woke me up from that Iago trance. And now I'm constantly asking myself, when is the last time I did something for the first time? And then the second question, which I pair it with, these are very empowering when you take them back to back, is what can I do today for the first time? What can I do today for the first time? So if you do those two things, it's going to wake you up. It's going to be like showing up at this event. It's going to be like going to a new concert. It doesn't matter. Like you get inspired by exposing yourself to stuff. Ted talked about me climbing Kilimanjaro. I got that because I read a book by Michael Crichton, the science fiction author. I read his autobiography, and he talked about climbing Kilimanjaro 10 years before. I read that 10 years before I actually did it, but it got in my head. I never would have thought about Kilimanjaro. I wouldn't have even known what Kilimanjaro is. For people who don't know, Kilimanjaro is the highest mountain in Africa. It's 19,300 feet. It's cold up there, even though it's only 1 degree off the equator. There's constant snow and ice. Al Gore said it would be gone by now, but he's wrong. It's still there. Like he predicted it in the late 80s. He said the snows of Kilimanjaro will be gone in 10 years or whatever. But they're there. They're at least they were in 2020 when I went there, right? But anyway, so the point is, the first step to the formula is to wake yourself up and get that inspired thought. So I challenge each and every single one of you to find something new to do today. And it can be just like trying a different drink, trying something you've never eaten before, talking to someone here that you've never met before. Walk up to them and say, hey, my name is whatever, and it's nice to meet you. Tell me about what you do. Because when you meet people that are doing inspiring things, it inspires you. We don't have to reinvent the whole wheel. So that's part one of the formula, right? Inspired thought. And then the second thing is, what do you do with that thought? So I had this thought. I wanted to build sailboats. That's a crazy thought, but what do I do with that thought, right? Like, how do I go from, this seems like a cool idea, I'm going to build sailboats, to actually building sailboats? Now, we're in the middle of this process. Maybe we'll build sailboats, maybe we won't. But let me ask you guys this. You guys come to a real estate event right now. How many of you, this is your first real estate event ever? Okay, a couple people. I'm sorry for you because it's the least real estate talk you're ever going to get at a real estate event, right? I mean, because I'm like barely mentioned real estate. But I think it's really useful because I know lots and lots of people that have been to real estate events more than once that don't own any real estate. So how many people have been to like, say, 10 real estate events and still haven't bought any real estate? Right? Like, that's amazing that no one's raising their hand, but it's only because they don't want to be called out. There's probably 10 people in the room that are in that category. Let's be honest. I know tons of people like this. I have nothing against them. I know people, I mean, you probably all have met these people. They're like, I'm a real estate investor. And you're like, cool, what do you buy? They're like, well, I set up an LLC. I've got business cards. I've got a logo. I've got a shirt with my logo on it. I've got a hat with my logo on it. I started a YouTube channel. Those are cool things, but they're not the right actions, right? That's the second part of the formula. It's inspired thought plus the right actions. So the question is, how do you find the right actions? And this is where my friend Todd came in. Todd's the sailboat guy. He actually really helped me with this because I was like, Todd, how do we know we can build sailboats? So here's the deal with the sailboats, right? So I moved to Puerto Rico a couple of years ago. It's amazing, right? That's why I go there all the time, because I have a house there, or a condo anyway. And I spend a lot of time there. And I like to smoke cigars. So I'm sitting in a cigar lounge, smoking a cigar with my friend Todd. And he's complaining to me about how he can't buy sailboats, right? He just like, I can't buy a sailboat. And the reason he can't buy it is there's just this arcane law called the Jones Act. But the Jones Act basically says that commercial sailing vessels have to be manufactured in the United States. So any kind of boat that's used on the water for commercial purposes has to be US manufactured under this act. So this is why you can go to, say, like Aruba or Cancun, and you can go on a sunset sail, and you can pay like, $50 or whatever and go on a sunset sail. But you cannot do that in Puerto Rico, St. Thomas, South Carolina, Florida. They just don't exist. And the reason they don't exist is because nobody's making commercial grade sailing catamarans. And that's what you need for that kind of sail, like big group on a sailboat. You need a catamaran. It's got to be 50, 60 feet. And the only way you can get those right now is to buy a custom made boat. And it takes about 4 to 5 years to get a boat made. And it costs about $4.5 million to build a boat. So it makes the manufacturing process makes it uneconomical for people to have these sailing vessels for commercial purposes. My friend Todd, he loves sailing. His girlfriend and him bought a sailboat. They got a MIRAT waiver, which is a complicated government thing that allows them to use it for commercial purposes, but they're limited to 6 people. So they can only have 6 people. So we sail around San Juan Bay in a 40-foot boat, easily could have 20, 30 people on it. Capacity is actually like 30 something. I don't remember exactly, but it's limited to 6 because of the Jones Act. So that's the most exemption you can get. And they charge, I don't know, $2,500 for 2 hours or something to sail people around the bay. They do a sunset sail. It's a beautiful experience. If you guys get to San Juan, you should definitely take them up on it. But it would be a lot better if you could have 50 of your friends with you. And we can't do that right now because we can't get the boats. So then we're like, that's the why. Okay, so this is the thing that Todd taught me that I think is really useful that I incorporate into my formula now. And he called it the, let's see, what did he call it? He called it the what, why, and then act. So how you find the right action is you first go, what? That's the inspired thought. Why? I want to build sailboats. Then the why is ask a whole bunch of why questions. Ask it over and over and over again and figure out what the deal is. Why can't I buy a sailboat? Find out about the Jones Act. So we learned about that. Why are other people doing this? Find out what the barriers to entry are. Ask those why questions repeatedly so that you're not like the person that has a business cards and a hat and an LLC but doesn't buy real estate. Because the truth is, if you want to be a real estate investor, you only have to take one action, and that is buy real estate. Right? That's the only action that makes you a real estate investor. If you don't buy real estate, not a real estate investor. Buy real estate, you are. So you have to ask the questions to figure out what the right action is. And you can do that by talking to people. You can hire mentors and coaches and all that kind of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with any of that, but you still have to get down to that why. So first you do the what, then you do the why, and then you take that action. So that really is the formula that I use for crafting an extraordinary life. That's how I decided that I'm going to buy a property in Tanzania and take people on safari, because I love it. So I've been looking at properties in Tanzania. I've been to Tanzania several times since I climbed Kilimanjaro. Tanzania is amazing. And I went through this same process, right? I went like, okay, what? I want to have a safari lodge. I want to take people on safaris. I want to do masterminds in the Serengeti. And then I said, okay, why does this work and why aren't other people doing it? And I started finding out, well, people are doing it. Okay, cool. That's good. So you can learn from what other people are doing. That's actually really useful. So I just kept going through that process. And I do this with every single thing in my life. And as a result of it, by doing that little bit extra, right? That just asking why and thinking clearly about the situation, I'm able to create that little extra effort that takes an ordinary life and turns it into an extraordinary life. And so that honestly is probably the only thing that I think you really need to take away from this, is that, like, if you want to be like me, or if you want to be like Elon Musk, or you want to do whatever, you just got to do the things that those people do to get there. And the way you figure that out is you follow this simple formula of getting that inspired thought, exposing yourself to new ideas, and then taking action on it. And you just got to figure it out and just do that sort of thing over and over and over and over again. So anyway, that, I don't know where we are at on time. I wasn't really paying attention. But yeah, okay, we're cool. So let me talk to you a little bit about the thing that I think is really important. So recently, Ted mentioned I have 2 podcasts. One's called The Old Fashioned Real Estate Show. The Old Fashioned Real Estate Show, we literally just drink old fashions and talk about real estate investing on YouTube. It's really fun. It's short, 10, 12-minute episodes, basically the length of a drink. So I pour the drink, and when the drink's done, it's time to stop talking. So, we'll pick a topic. Sometimes we have a guest, but most of the time it's just myself and my partner, Brian, talking about, how do you predict the next market crash, or like, where do we think things are going? Or like, how do you properly screen tenants? So it's a great show if you just want to get information about it. And we have really cool playlists and stuff. But my other show is where my real passion is, right? And that's called Last Life Ever. And it's about recognizing that we only get this one chance to do the things that we're put here to do. So I believe that each and every person has unique skills and abilities, right? We can't all do the exact same thing, but we all can do some extraordinary things. And I believe that we owe it to not only ourselves, but really to our families, to our communities, and even to the world, to do the things that we were put here to do. And I think this is why I created Last Life Ever, because I wanted to share that. It's actually why I wrote the book, No Bad Days, which is really like my life story told as a series of life lessons. It's because I believe firmly that you have to do the things that you can do. And if you don't do them, you're selfish. I was talking about this with Ted and Owen on the podcast, or actually this morning. We were talking about, Ted asked, how do you get to the point where you're able to raise money? Because asking someone for money is hard. Right? Like, I don't know if anyone in the room does syndication, but like when you syndicate, you're basically taking a bunch of investors' money, you're pooling it together, and you're buying a piece of property or another investment, right? And there's a whole bunch of rules and things like that. And I mean, get a good securities attorney and figure that stuff out. But the reality is, it's difficult to ask people for money. And people are constantly saying to me, like, oh, I could never ask people for money. And I say, it's not asking people for money. It would be selfish of me not to take your money, because I believe in my investments, right? Like, I'm going to share an opportunity with people. And if they take advantage of that opportunity, they're going to come out ahead. So like when I go into a meeting with someone to talk to them about whether they want to invest in my deal, I'm not saying to them, hey, can you give me some money? Like, I'm gonna just give me some money because I need it. Because if you go in with that kind of energy, you're not going to get it done, right? But like, if you recognize that you are offering them something that's better than what they're going to get by sticking it in a savings account or by putting it in a stock market where they have no control over it and it's less predictable, right? Or cryptocurrency or whatever it is, like, you're giving them an opportunity, and it's up to them to decide whether they want to take action on it or not, right? And whether it's right for them. I'm just going to share with them what I know about it. I'm going to give them the opportunity to be inspired by my particular skill set and say, you know what? I actually do want to invest in that apartment building. I actually do want to invest in that shipyard building catamarans, whatever that deal is that I'm working on right then. And so I believe that we have to shift in our mindset, and we have to find that energy, right? So in response to that, I created Last Life Ever on 5 pillars. Five pillars. And I think of them like this. If we want to hold something up, right, we have 5 fingers. And so that's how I have 5 pillars. So my first pillar is discovering your life's purpose. So I believe these are all interconnected. I don't think you can do any of them without the other. So you have to know what your purpose is. Why are you here? What's important to you? And this is something that's going to change over time. Sometimes you're going to have one purpose, and then you're going to shift to another purpose. That's okay. The second one is cultivating empowering habits, finding things that help you move towards your goals and doing those things regularly. The third one is financial freedom. Is you can't live your purpose if you're trading your time for money. Like you need to figure out a way to do it. No, you might be able to, right? If your purpose is to be a medical doctor or something like that. I'm not saying that, but if you don't know your purpose, you can't have I mean, they're all interconnected is what I'm saying, right? So like if you don't know what your purpose is, then you don't know what kind of job to take. You don't know how financial freedom looks to you. It's not all real estate investing. I love real estate, but like for some people, real estate's scary and they just don't want to do it, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's an important pillar. The fourth one is having extraordinary experiences in life. And then the last one is giving back to your community. And I believe you have to do all 5 of these continuously. I have a mentor of mine who defines integrity as when your inner thoughts, your words, and your actions are completely aligned. And so we take that definition of an integrity and we apply it to all 5 pillars. Thank you. We apply it to all 5 pillars and we say, how can I be in integrity, in alignment in all 5 of these areas in my life? And if I do that, then I'm holding up an extraordinary life. And I really do believe that's the way to do it. So anyway, guys, I don't really have that much more to share with you. If you want to ask me questions about real estate investing, I mean, I'll tell you a little bit about that. I mean, I invest mostly in mid-sized multifamilies, like 10 to 30 units. That's sort of my sweet spot, but I have industrial, commercial, residential, single families, duplexes. I love traveling. So if you want to ask about that, we can talk about that. But I'm really willing to open the floor up to anyone on any topic. And if not, we'll just drink some old fashions because the girls in the bar told me they have plenty of ingredients. So anyone have any questions? Yeah, go ahead. There's a mic here I think you can use.
Are all of your properties in a similar area or are you spread around?
Yeah, so I invest in primarily 2 areas, and I think about this this way. So I invest in Michigan, on the east side of Michigan, and I invest within 50 miles of Chattanooga, Tennessee. I grew up in Michigan. I lived in Tennessee for 12 years. I believe that you should invest in areas you know, and so I invest in areas I know. Now, I look at it this way. When I think about returns on real estate, really returns on anything, I think about risk mitigation. So the return on an investment is a function of 2 things. Like basic financial economic theory says it's a product of 2 things. One is the risk-free rate of return, and the second is a risk premium. So we're getting compensated for taking risk. Therefore, the riskier a property is, the more the return is. The higher cap rate properties, the ones that make 10, 12, 15% annually, are much riskier than the ones that make 3 or 4%. That's just the reality. That's a risk-adjusted, market risk-adjusted premium. And what I think about is, how do I mitigate my personal risk vis-a-vis the market? So if I invest on a specific street in Chattanooga and I buy duplexes on that street, right? I am getting compensated for the risk premium that the average market investor would have. But because I really know that street well, I'm taking less risk than the market and I'm getting paid that extra risk premium and essentially getting an asymmetric return. And so that's been my strategy forever, is invest in places I know and invest in asset types I know. I just do that over and over again. Yeah.
With our private REIT, we use a ton of government money to mitigate our risk. Have you utilized that strategy in your portfolio?
Yeah, so I do that in a couple of ways. So when I started thinking about real estate investing in general, like one thing we've done is we've started buying low income housing tax credit properties. Because it's like if you get really good at that, there's a huge opportunity. And that's just one way to mitigate risk. Like there are lots and lots of ways to get compensated for risk that you're not accepting. One way is just to go to real estate events and learn about real estate. One way is to read books, go to podcasts, listen to podcasts, like absorb as much information as you can. But yes, also if you get really good at how to get government grants, get government credits, like one thing we do in Detroit. So I used to invest in Detroit a lot. Now we're mostly in the suburbs of Detroit. But what we did there is we did a lot of Section 8 properties. And we got real good. In fact, my partner won Section 8 Landlord of the Year 3 years in a row in Wayne County, Michigan. That's crazy, right? Like to be that good at it. What that did is it meant we got that high risk premium for Wayne County, Michigan, and we got less actual risk. And if you can get a high risk premium and take less risk, you come out ahead every time over the long run. This is the same thing hedge funds do when they buy insurance products, and they do all this. Is the whole point. If you can get compensated for risk you're not actually taking, you get rich over time. And so that's what we've done. And we're doing the same thing in Puerto Rico now. Like 18 months ago, we decided we wanted to build sailboats. Our very first meeting was with the Department of Commerce, and we were negotiating for tax credits, specific tax credits for our business. And we've been doing that constantly, and we've been awarded a whole bunch of, we're still waiting on the final paperwork, but we should get a bunch of tax credits. Okay, wow. So he's saying he bought a village in southern Italy overlooking the Mediterranean. I'm only repeating this because the people on the live stream might not hear it otherwise. But that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, because like one of the things that I've been spending time with, and after I got to the point where I really had time freedom and I didn't have to do any more real estate investing, I said, I only want to do projects that I think are awesome. And I want to come hang out with you at your village in southern Italy. That sounds amazing.
People are going to the major cities that they're offering $100 per house.
Yeah, so they're giving you money to take the houses. Yeah, and of course, so the thing about that is like you still have to figure out what to do with it. Like you have to have a plan, right? Otherwise, it doesn't do any good. But it's so fun to have those kind of problems. Like when I was going to Tanzania, and we're like, there's elephants intruding on our property. Like, what do we do about that? Like, those are fun problems to have to deal with, right? Like, I don't know about you, but have elephants come into Omaha lately and like knock down a house or a tent or something? Probably not, right? So, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, the tax credit stuff, pretty much any strategy you can think of is really great for that kind of stuff. I mean, but it like another example of how we do this is, but one of the reasons I said earlier, I buy mainly mid-sized multifamily, 10 to 30 units. There's a reason I do that. There's a pretty decent risk premium on them, and I like that. And I'm able to mitigate that risk by getting really good at that particular thing. And I buy them in a specific area, so I get economies of scale. And here's what happens, right? I'm buying from mom and pop owners that have one, maybe two buildings, and I'm getting the economies of scale of having a whole bunch of those buildings in the same place. And then when I get ready to sell those buildings, I'm going to sell them to an institutional investor as a package at a lower cap rate. So I'm going to make even more money. And I'm also not competing with institutional investors because they only want to buy stuff that it's 100 units, 200 units, 300 units. So I'm competing against people that are afraid to borrow $1 million, so like I find that like when the loan balance gets to $1 million, a whole bunch of real estate investors run the other way. And the institutional investors are afraid to borrow less than $5 million. So if I can borrow $4 million and sell it to an institutional investor where they get to borrow $5 million on my $4 million property, I get to keep the difference. So that's what we try to do.
Yeah, thanks so much for the speak and conversation tonight. I feel like it's been pretty good. I do have a question about, you said you filed bankruptcy and then within 6 months started investing in real estate.
Yeah.
I find it hard to wrap my head around that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I glossed over that, right? Yeah. It's super hard.
Diving into that a little bit more. Or expanding on that.
So you just buy my book and no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So what I did is I recognized that I wanted to invest in real estate. It's something I'd always wanted to do. I mean, like I said, I'd been thinking about it since I was 14, 15 years old. And if I had started earlier, I would not have ended up in bankruptcy. I know that for sure. So recognizing that, I had a high level of motivation. Plus, I thought I was going to die. Like I started on this treatment and we didn't know if it was going to work or not. And I was like, I want to leave something for my wife, because if I die, she still needs to be able to pay the bills. And I was the primary income earner at the time. And so I was like, I need to figure this out. So I took this job in Chattanooga. And I got a signing bonus. I think it was about $20,000. You have an MBA and a law degree, you can kind of even if you're in a bad spot, even in a bad economy, you can still negotiate a little bit. So I got $20,000. This is all the money I had. $20,000, right? I just filed bankruptcy. I have no credit. And it was 2011. And so we ended up buying a condo for $30,000. Myself and a partner, we bought it for cash. And I put in 15, he put in, actually we put in 17,500 each. I remember my ex said to me that day, she said, if this doesn't work out, we're never investing in real estate again. Fortunately, it worked out, so we kept investing in real estate. In fact, I still own that. Well, now the two of us own it with our partner. So I own a quarter, she owns a quarter, and my partner owns the other half. That thing is in Rochester Hills, Michigan, and it's a 650 square foot condo that we paid $30,000 for, but it rents for $1,250 a month, which is pretty good on a $30,000 condo, and it's worth like $150,000 now. And so what we did is we bought that, and then a short time after that, another condo came up in the same building. We knew it was going to work. Like, these were $100,000 condos in 2006. They were selling bank-owned foreclosures for $30,000. I didn't have any money left, but my buddy had just sold a flip house that he had, and so he loaned me $15,000 to buy into the second one, and so we bought that one together too. And then we had two paid off condos other than I owed him $15,000, which we eventually did clear up. I never put the money in. Like, the only money I ever invested was $17,500 ever to this day. That's the only money I ever took out of my pocket that came from sources outside of real estate. But we started doing some flips and stuff like that, generating capital that way. We did a lot of private money stuff. We had a couple of investors that would loan us money at 6% interest only, and they would loan it to a company that we owned with them. So we formed a company. I owned a third of it. My partner Travis owned a third of it, and then this other gentleman owned the other third, and we would borrow money from him. He would loan it to the company. We'd go buy stuff with it. We borrowed almost $1 million from him over the next several years. And we ended up with a whole bunch of property. And we've since paid that all back by refinancing and selling and 1031ing and, doing all these different techniques that we've learned about since then. But yeah, we just started doing it because I didn't have a choice. Like, I got to figure it out. So I just did. And stuff was super cheap back then. People were afraid to buy. We were buying houses for $5,000 and putting $5,000 in them, and then renting them out for $700 a month, right? So you have $10,000 in a house, and it rents out for $700 a month. It was crazy. Like the returns were so stupid, it didn't make sense not to buy them. So it was really easy to convince people to give us money to buy them.
Sounds like you're investing in Detroit, Michigan there, huh?
Well, it was, yeah.
So with with all the traveling that you do, how do you balance the traveling with managing that large of a size portfolio, or do you just have team members that are managing that for you?
Yeah, so I don't manage stuff on a day-to-day basis. I do manage one. I have a retail shopping center. It's like 6 tenants. It's 30,000 square foot. I manage that personally, but everything else is third-party property management. In a lot of cases, I have partnered with property managers. So like my buddy Travis started a property management company. We own all the stuff in Michigan that I own with him, and he manages it. I have my partner in Old Fashioned Real Estate, Brian. He has a property management company in Chattanooga, and everything that I own with him, he manages. So other than a couple of scattered small residential properties that I have other third-party management on, most of the deals have been with the two of them. So I haven't had to deal with the day-to-day on it.
So networking has kind of been changing my life with everything that we're doing. And one question I have for you, and I think this is kind of a snowball for you, but how does networking change your life? And can you talk about how joining the masterminds, especially the Maui mastermind that you're involved with? Because I know a handful of people have done it, such as Megan Ahern. How does that change your life? And
Yeah, so I'm actually not in the Maui mastermind. Yeah, so I was in a social media mastermind that Brandon Turner did, and it did change my life. But I'll step back a little bit. Networking has changed my life completely because those first real estate deals I was describing were from someone I met by talking to people, right? And meeting people, taking responsibility for that. Like, walk around this room and meet people, get to know them, build a real relationship. I've always gone to conferences. It's always been to come back with 2 or 3 really close friends. And that strategy caused me to meet Ted and Owen, and now I'm here, right? I wouldn't be here if I didn't network, period. Like, I would not be in this room if I didn't network at Bigger Pockets conference in New Orleans back in 2019. And it's been it's been an amazing journey. So like, but I've also done the paid networking thing, right? Like, one of the people I met in the social media mastermind that I was in with Brandon said to me, I feel like I just spent a bunch of money to buy some really cool friends. And that's exactly how I felt about it. And like Megan was actually in that mastermind as well. So that is how I met her. But so was, I mean, so many really big name people were in there, besides the fact that now like I can call Brandon on his cell phone and be like, hey man, what's up? Even though the mastermind's done, I'm not paying him anything. And I'm happy to be able to call him a friend. And that only comes because I was in that mastermind with him, a small group. I think there were 16 of us total. And we went to Maui and hung out with him at his house. You know, those kind of things are life-changing because of the connections you made. All of the people that were there, every one of those 16 people, I consider a very close friend. If I pick up the phone and call them, they'll help me with stuff. And they're doing amazing things, right? They're developing towns. They're they're converting their hotels into apartment buildings. So if I have a problem in real estate, I can figure it out. They're also doing really cool social media stuff, and I'm inspired by their content all the time. And I mean, I'll tell you guys, like, if you haven't followed me on social media, I mean, I'm not going to make you do it, but like my social media tags are all Jeffrey Holst. Like I'm Jeffrey Holst everywhere I'm on, everything from TikTok to Be Real to Instagram to, you know, whatever. It doesn't matter. If there's a social media, I'm Jeffrey Holst. That's who I am. In fact, actually, if you do want to connect with me further, I did just post today on Instagram that I was speaking here. So it's at Jeffrey Holst on Instagram. And if you scroll over 2 slides, the third picture over is actually a QR code to join this. It's a free happy hour that we do in Last Life Ever, where we talk about one of the 5 pillars. We do it as like a book club happy hour on Zoom. We do it once a month. It's free. The next one's March 20th. Happy to have you guys there. In fact, I would love to get to know you guys better at that free happy hour. So if you want to look at my social media, you can find your way to that. So, but that's just another form of networking. We do that. We talk about the book whatever book we're working on this particular month. This month, it's The End of the World is Always Near by Dan something or other. I don't remember off the top of my head. But even if you haven't read the book, you can show up, you hear a little bit about the book, and then we do like 30 minutes of networking. We break out into small groups, and you get to meet 5 or 6 people that are doing cool things that want to make their life better. That's why they're there. And every time I meet someone amazing. And I just keep doing that networking over and over again. You guys are such a quiet crowd. I don't know.
You travel to far away, and there's nobody here that wants to ask questions.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Like, I mean, honestly, like it's cool if you don't have questions, but I always like try to leave time at the end for questions, but I could just keep rambling forever. So if you guys don't pick a topic or don't ask me a question, then I'm just going to pick something at random and tell you about it. Okay, go ahead.
So you said you've been to Belize, but you own property in
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Looking to invest out of country.
Yes.
Either or.
Yeah. So
I've been looking at Belize more.
Yeah. So Belize is really interesting, right? So they have a dollar peg. So their currency is always $2 Belizean for $1 US, which makes it a really stable currency. And they have a citizenship by residency program. That's really interesting. It's hard to like actually do it though, because you have to be there all but 14 days in a calendar year to get official residency. But once you have residency for 5 years, then you can become a Belizean citizen without giving up your US citizenship. I found that fascinating. That's what I was doing in Belize, investigating that. Puerto Rico, of course, is completely different because Puerto Ricans are US citizens. Like Puerto Rico is an affiliated territory of the United States. The Supreme Court says Puerto Rico belongs to, but is not a part of the US. I don't know what that means. I don't think anyone actually knows what it means, but Puerto Rico is amazing. And again, here's another networking story for you. I went to this real estate event in Dallas. In fact, there's in this room, people that were there with me, right? Like that I saw, I haven't seen since then, but I went to this networking event in Dallas and I met lots of really cool people, including my partner, Jillian, who's my co-host on Last Life Ever. She used to be Grant Cardone's securities attorney. So like, maybe you've heard of Grant Cardone. I don't know. But it seems like if you haven't heard of him, you don't want to Google him because he'll be on your phone for the rest of eternity then. But Yeah, right, exactly. But anyway, so I met Jillian there, but I also met Harry Dent there. So does anyone know who Harry Dent is, the economist? Yeah, so Harry's like, he wrote these, we talked about him on the show today, so I know you know, Owen, but thank you for raising your hand. I appreciate it. But so Harry is an economist who's constantly predicting economic ruin. We're in the middle of a bubble. Everything's going to fall apart tomorrow. Robert Helms, the real estate guy, says about Harry Dent that Harry's predicted 19 out of the last 3 recessions, right? Like something like that. And I think that's accurate. Like Peter Schiff and Harry, like they both live in Puerto Rico and they both talk about how the world's going to die any second, right? But I met Harry at this real estate event and I read his book when I was in high school because like I told you guys, I was a weird kid. Like I'm reading economic forecasts as a senior in high school and like wanting to buy buildings. Like that's weird. That's not normal, but I'm never claimed I was normal. So I read his book and I was really excited to meet him and I was having a conversation with him. And he said to me, oh man, like this is a great conversation. Cause like most of the time when people meet famous people, they're like, oh, I love your book. Like you're so cool. Can I get my picture with you? I'm like, Harry, you're full of shit. Like, you're wrong about this, you're wrong about that, you're wrong about, just like nonstop telling him all the things I think he's wrong about. And he's arguing with me, and we're having a lively, engaged conversation. And he enjoyed it. I know he enjoyed it because he said these words to me. He said, I wish I could keep this conversation going, but I'm late for dinner with Robert Kiyosaki. So my first thought was, maybe I can get an invite. So that'd be pretty cool. Didn't happen. My second thought was, I need to figure out how I can keep talking to Harry because I want to be friends with Harry Dent. I'm networking. He's in the hall. I'm probably never going to see him again. So I say, I'll see you in Puerto Rico next weekend. I know he lives in Puerto Rico. I didn't live in Puerto Rico then. I hadn't been to Puerto Rico in like, I don't know, a decade at that point. And he's like, you're going to be in Puerto Rico next weekend? I'm like, yeah, I am. That's what I told him. I am. He goes, okay, cool. Here's my cell phone number. Call me when you land. So what did I do? I bought a plane ticket. I went to Puerto Rico, called Harry Dent. Now we're friends. I'm sitting at the bar with him at the Caribe Hilton. I remember that. I'll never forget this. I'm talking to him. He's a really cheap date, by the way, because he doesn't drink. So he's just drinking like soda water with lime. So other than I had to buy a plane ticket to Puerto Rico at the last minute, it was actually a really good investment. So I'm sitting there, I'm drinking, right? Like I don't know, old fashions probably, because that's what I do, or maybe a mojito because I was in Puerto Rico, and Harry's drinking his tonic and lime or whatever, and I say to him, Harry, why do you live in Puerto Rico? Right? This is an inspired thought. This question, I asked him, why do you live in Puerto Rico? And he tells me Puerto Rico is the only first world city, or has the only first world city in the entire Caribbean. And I went, wait, like, let's talk about this for a minute. And I realized he was right, because here's his argument. In Puerto Rico, we use the US dollar, right? You can go back and forth without going through customs. And you can go to Home Depot, Sam's Club, Costco, IKEA, Walmart, McDonald's. It doesn't matter. Everything's there. If you live in St. Croix, which is part of the US, you can't go to Home Depot because there's no Home Depot there. If you want lumber, it takes weeks. Weeks. 2 million people in San Juan, and they have English language movies, they have nightclubs, they have the best restaurants, they have 5-star dining, they have all of the things that big cities have in the United States, and they have the weather of the Caribbean. The only place like it even close in the entire United States is South Beach in Miami. And my apartment in Puerto Rico cost me $2,500 a month. 12th floor balcony, 2-mile white sand beach. I'm right in the middle of it. I've got aqua, turquoise, green water, 5 minutes from the airport, 10 minutes from Old San Juan, $2,500 a month. The same place in Miami would be $20,000 a month. 2-bedroom, 2-bath. So that's why Puerto Rico, and I don't know if that's the answer you were looking for or not, but like when I'm thinking about investing in a foreign country, I'm like, where do I want to live? Like, where could I be cool with? That's why I like Tanzania. Like, it's complicated to invest in Tanzania. Like, you as a foreigner cannot own land in Tanzania, right? Like, there's a lot of countries in the world like that. And so I had to spend a lot of time like how do I unpack this? How do I learn about it? Who do I have to talk to? And that goes right back to that formula, right? It's like, the what I know, I've had the inspired thought, I want to buy a place in Tanzania. So then, like, how do I do it? I have to ask the right questions over and over again. And that's, if you want to move to Belize, ask the right questions. Go there, investigate, talk to people, see if you like it. See if you really want to spend 355 days there. You only do that 1 year, but you got to do it. Right. And I was like, that actually would save me a lot of money because I'd be stuck in Belize and I could it would be cheaper and I wouldn't be able to fly back and forth. And that's where I spend most of my money. So I was like real tempted to move to Belize just because I thought it would save me a lot of money. But I can't. I mean, I've got the shipyard thing in Puerto Rico that I'm working on, plus the cigar line. We actually got the first import license from Puerto Rico for tobacco products to the United States that's ever been issued. And the first import license to the United States for cigars, for premium hand-rolled cigars, that's been issued in more than a decade. We just got it last month. So we're going to roll them out soon here well, we have to, each state has individual tax stamps, so it's complicated. But this is the great part about life, is when you get to the point where you're just living life and you're trying to figure out things and you're doing things that are interesting to you, this is fun. Like, it's cool for me to try to figure out, how do I import cigars? And now I've got my own line, but I've also got the exclusive distribution rights to another line of Puerto Rican cigars because I'm the only importer that can do it. And they called us and they're like, hey, can you import our cigars to the US? So we're going to be able to sell their cigars too. So it's a triple win. And it's all because I asked the right questions and took the right action. And everything I've ever done, I've done with partners. We didn't really talk about that very much, but all those partners are people that I met through networking. So cool.
Maybe next time we can do a cigar event.
And
we can do speak in cigars. Yes.
Yeah, well, we could do it, or we could all just hang out in Puerto Rico and smoke cigars at the farm. The farm is amazing. So the place that grows the farm is in Rio Grande, and they have literally the best mojito I've ever had in my life. And you can sit around and eat pizza and drink mojitos and listen to the coquis. And coquis are they're like the local frog of Puerto Rico. So it's really a beautiful sound. They name them after the sound they make. They say something that's I can't do it, but it's literally like coquis, coquis, coquis. So you can sit around and listen to this coquis thing going on all the time and smoke a cigar and have this beautiful weather. So you guys should just all come down there. So you guys want to go tomorrow, or who's coming with me? Who's coming to Puerto Rico this week? All right, let's do it. If you guys show up, just hit me up on Instagram. I'll tell you how to get to the farm. All right, guys. Listen. I mean, honestly, Ted, you want me to keep going? You want me to think of something else to talk about?
No. Do you think we have any last questions before we wrap it up? Mike's yours.
So I have a couple of my books here, by the way. We're waiting for you to walk up. So I have decided arbitrarily. No, come up. It's cool. I just arbitrarily talking over you for a second. But I just decided that the people that asked questions are getting a book. So if you asked me a question, make sure you get a book. I'm just going to give you one. So you get one too. That's why you had to come up before I said this. But after that, that's it. So I think it was 4 people. I'm going to give you all a free book. So signed book, no bad days. So congratulations.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just had a question about social media, really. I know you said you were on all different platforms, but do you manage that yourself, or do you have someone else manage your social media? I just feel like it's
Yes.
time consuming and taxing.
It is.
So.
Yeah, it's taxing, time consuming. So I do a hybrid of both. I have a social media manager who manages my Instagram posting for Last Life Ever and Reels and things like that for my personal Instagram. But I do all my own stories and I do my own Facebook. And I also I have a YouTube channel called Puerto Rico Life. It's just about things that I like in Puerto Rico. It's pretty fun. I always do that myself. I edit all those videos myself because it's just a passion project of mine. Also, I'm writing a new book about Puerto Rico. So that channel is designed to grow myself an audience for my own book. So I really want it to be authentically about my experience in Puerto Rico. And the only way I know to do social media authentically is to do it yourself. So even when I have my social media girl post stuff on my Instagram, and today I did that post that I was telling everyone about, but normally it's just her doing it. But even when I have her doing that, I'm making sure that I have control over what's being said. And the reason I use her as opposed to some random VA is I know her really well. We've had lots and lots and lots and lots of conversations, and she knows what kind of stuff I'm cool with. And if she doesn't know, she's going to text me and be like, hey, can you write a caption for this post that I'm making? right? Or she'll take a reel, like a video that I've recorded, and she'll chop it up a little bit different and put a different caption on it, and she'll send it to me and say, what do you think of this? Or she'll take things that I said in a reel and use it to make a different post later. So it's all just recycling stuff that I've actually created. I don't want people just randomly throwing stuff on social media. That doesn't do any good. No one cares. No one, if you're not authentic, people don't care. That's true whether you're speaking in front of a group like I am right now, or whether you're just networking one-on-one with people at a coffee shop. If you're not authentic, people won't like you. If people don't like you, they won't trust you. If they don't trust you, they don't want to do business with you. And if you want to make friends and you want to have partners, you want people that want to hang out with you. That's really the secret to networking, is people want to hang out with people they want to hang out with. And the way you become a person people want to hang out with is you do things authentically, so that when you show up as a person that people want to be around, because people are attracted to authenticity. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but hey, I'm happy to give you a book. So any other questions? Anyone else? Or are we good? Looks like we're good, Ted.
There you go. Thank you. Give me a round of applause for Jeff, please. Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we're going to just kind of finish up here a little bit. There is a basket going around, and we'll finish here by giving away some books that are left over in the corner. And we have one Jeff book and a couple other ones that are up there. But the baskets go around, just throw your name in there, and we'll hand those out. A couple things I forgot on when I was doing the events. We do have a luncheon next Friday. That is the third Friday already. We do that at the rail car. It's open to everybody. There's a room fits about 45 people. I would recommend getting there early. We start at about 11:30. We wrap it up at 1. It's meet, mingle, talk about your successes. Everybody's welcome, members and non-members, so bring your friends. There's no presenter. Everybody talks individually and gets up and speaks. So I totally would recommend checking this out. We were at capacity last month. So like I said, get there early if you want to make sure you have a spot. If there's no spots, then there's spots at the bars, and then you're not going to take advantage of all the benefits that it has. Also, on that same day, on March 15th, there's the National RIA Zoom call. That happens every month. And so if you are a member, you're part of the national membership. So you can log into omaharia.com, go to our calendar. There's a link to be able to sign into that. You should be getting emails from National RIA also to take advantage of those links, but they bring in national speakers. They have there's like 20 something national sponsors and benefits you get. And it generally is a sponsor talking every time about the benefits that you guys get or new benefits that they're adding. So they definitely take advantage of that. Is there any new or first time members in the room? One, anybody else? Monica, I saw her hand back there. Cool. A couple people, I appreciate it. So first off, welcome to coming down to our group. I think it's important to know the people around you, and I know that the people have been here numerous times. We do this every time, but it's good to kind of get an idea of how the room looks. But if you guys have multifamilies, can you guys raise your hand if you have multifamilies in your portfolio? So you know who to network. Those are single family. Anybody has single family rentals? Who does any storage unit people in the room? I saw Brad Bader in here somewhere. So just like one. What about commercial? Does anybody do commercial investment? Any builders? Anybody doing building? How about hotel investing? Does anybody do hotel investing? There's a couple of people. Yeah, we got to talk, huh? Is there anybody doing out-of-state investing? Any out-of-state investors? And who's doing short-term rentals? Anybody doing short-term? What about midterm? Anybody doing midterm? Was any hard money lenders in the room? Anybody doing hard money lending? Is there, what else we got? What am I missing, Owen? Trailer parks? Contractors, yeah. Any contractors in the room? Put them up high so we know who you guys are. Any contractors looking for business? Crickets. Where's our property managers? Any property managers around here? And where's our real estate agents? Anybody got a real estate license? Is there any real estate agents that just focus on real estate investing, which I think is really important? Okay. It's really important to know that because it's good to work with an agent that knows real estate investing, especially agents that have their own investment portfolio. It really kind of helps make sure you got the right person, right? And I think that's any podcasts. Anybody doing podcasts in the room? Yeah, couple people. The Foleys, yeah. So it's good to network with these people. after the event, we will be at Burger Theory. They keep the place open late for us. Kelly and Jenny back there, they take amazing care of us. They're some of the best staff members that we've ever ran across. So we love them back there. So give a round of applause. Make sure you take care of them. Huge shout out to Holiday Inn for taking care of us over the last 2 years. We appreciate everything you guys do. Again, if you guys drink too much, take advantage of the $99 room. And one thing we do before we wrap up is we let people have the mic that want to do a shout out for their business, maybe something to sell, maybe just bring something up to the group. So take 10, 20 seconds. Tell us what you got.
Well, actually, I just had a question. My name is Jay. I was curious if anyone here has either a portfolio or a business that they're looking to just exit out of. If they're looking to sell, I'm talking about like retire kind of thing. So that's what I'm just trying to meet those people, learn from them as well, but also see if there's options that I have to help them with exiting their business. That's basically what I was looking for.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
One last thing, I love doing cold calls. So if anyone here is starting off and you hate cold calling, my name is Jay over here. If you need someone to do it for you, I'd be more than glad to do it. So yeah, thanks.
Wow. That's valuable right there. Anybody else got any shout outs, properties, good lead opportunities? Yeah.
Hello, thank you. My name is Mo. I'm with Realty One Group, Sterling here in Omaha. I used to be part of DVG and we've migrated over to our new brokerage. I've been handed a pretty exclusive list of properties that you might be interested in. This package is a total of 8 homes and it can be purchased as one, or it can also be broken up and purchased individually. Individually, it'd be approximately $93,000. For the total, it'd be $750,000. If it is something that you're interested in, we are going to be putting together a tour because the properties are rented. So we want to just kind of keep that organized for the tenants. You can go ahead and text me at 402-538-8831. And then if you could hashtag Monica and the address. So the addresses that I have available currently is going to be 2207 North 18th Street, 2551 Camden Avenue, 4015 North 43rd, 4121 Miami, 4123 Florence Boulevard, 4720 Larimore Ave, 4849 35th, 5806 North 42nd, and also 2568 Brown Street. If you can't remember those addresses, just go ahead and let me know that you want that information, and we'll get you the T12s and leases. Can I take another moment? Sorry. Appreciate it. A few more that we have that are also off market for just a little bit, so kind of an exclusive that we have going for you, is 3009 South 24th. That is a 5-plex that is currently leased, and that unit is for sale for the amount of $499,000. That is fully furnished, an active Airbnb, very successful one, as we know. And the other one, that is 3009. I don't know. 1316 South 24th Street. That one is only $210. So again, great buy there. 2619 Reese. And that one is also furnished for the total of $170. I am not done yet. I'm going to give you a couple more plugs. I've got to go ahead and step in for my investors. 3226 Webster. That one is on the MLS, and 3302 Maple Street. Yeah.
These are all single family lit homes on?
Well, the one on 24th Street, the 3009 South 24th. Now that one is a 5-plex. Thank you, Chris, for asking. And thank you for coming this evening, by the way. He's my guest this evening. Absolutely, yes, thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
My name's Lisa Kraus. I'm with Square One Property Solutions, those of you that don't know. I have a 5-bedroom with non-conforming, one non-conforming. It does only have 1 bath, but you could put another one in the basement. It did have a Section 8 tenant in it, renting for $1,500. You can actually get about $1,900 on it if you want. I do have that for sale at 6315 North 38th Street. If you're interested, 402-750-9363. Also have another one, 3327 North 37th Street. The main level is almost done being rehabbed. The basement does have a walkout basement that has not been rehabbed, so you have value add down there. It is move-in ready on the main floor. So if you have any questions on that one, again, 402-750-9363. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. Lots of leads today. Yeah.
So I have a 3-bedroom, 4-bathroom. The address is 5905 South 151st Street. Zip code 68137 is like Millard Staff School area. I think you just need like some cosmetics to be done, so ready to flip here. I have more of those if you guys wanted. Very nice one. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Takes a lot of courage to get up here, guys.
Good to see you, Ted.
Yeah, thanks for hosting.
I also want to thank our Burger Theory team. You guys are awesome. Kelly and Jen, they're absolutely amazing. Been working with them for years. So we do have a hard money lending business. It's at thereadymoney.com. And we do any size loans. If there's any needs, we do. Literally, we can underwrite within 48 hours. And we do it very quickly. There's not a very long process to it as well. We are also in the market to buy distressed assets. If anyone is anything, just let us know. You can reach us at thereadymoney.com as well. I'm sorry? If I have controlling interest. Absolutely. So if there's any interest, it's at thereadymoney.com. And my name is Kurt. My partner's name is Debashish. He's sitting right over there. He's a little shy. So if there's any interest, let us know. Thank you. Fair enough. So I'm one of the 2 principals of this hotel. I am the president and CEO of Mt Hotels. We are primarily focused in the Omaha, Lincoln markets. We are in small town Nebraska as well. Been doing this for about, I'm old, 26 years. But it has been a fun ride, and the best part about it is the people. I've run into the most amazing people in this business. Real estate, what's the best way to put real estate? If you get into the game, do it for the journey, not about what you can buy and so forth. The money will take care of itself. If you enjoy the ride, you network, you create the relationships and partnerships, everything else takes care of itself. That is the way I've gone into it. If you go in for the wrong reasons, like I just want to get rich or I just want to be wealthy, you're going to lose track of what really makes real estate work. You will lose the focus of the deal. Your optics will change. So if you get into real estate, forget about what it can buy you down the road. Just look at each deal individually. Do not get emotional about it. I'm going to repeat that. Do not get emotional about real estate. If it doesn't work, I promise you there's another deal around the corner. So that's the best advice I can give you on that. Anything else? You put me on the spot there.
We did a great event with Curdy about 1.5 years ago. And if you want to learn more about you and what you do, it's on our YouTube channel too. and I'd highly recommend watching it because it's great content.
I appreciate that. And this organization is fantastic, guys. Ted, you do a great job. You literally bring it to the masses. People that are scared of the word real estate or investment, you actually break it down in layman's terms. Anyone can do it, guys. You don't need money. You just need confidence. There's money out there. Just like our guest speaker, from bankruptcy to wealth in a very short amount of time. You just need to stay focused. I loved what you said about extraordinary. That's all it is. You take a very simple thing and you just add a little spice to it. And that's all it takes. That's all it takes. So well done on your speech, sir. I really did appreciate it. And congratulations on your success.
Awesome. Great. Appreciate it. Anybody else? There you go.
Down on it's 1115 South 10th Street, unit number 10, somewhere in the 400 range. It's 15 plus 100 square feet, 3-bed, 2.5 bath, heated garage, underground. Anyway, it's not on the market just yet. It's a coming soon sign outside, but numbers there on the sign outside if you have any interest. 400-ish.
400-ish.
420. 420.
It's 420 now. The price is going up.
So
the auction's going the wrong way.
So I just put the 420 on there just to kind of get a feel for it. It sold 3 years ago for like 350. As many of you know, I buy them before the foreclosure sales, and that's kind of how I ended up with it. So there is an HOA. They have their dues are like $350-ish. $350, $360 a month. There's one across the street that just sold for $4.5 for like $800 a month for HOAs. I know I'm probably overdressed here for the appearance, but anyway, that's kind of what I have. So there's definitely no Airbnb. You can rent it out, but it's really a nice place. So I'm a licensed contractor. I've gone through it myself. To answer your question, no, but it's up to par, up to code.
Okay, working deals out right in front. I love it.
I'll be next door because I haven't had breakfast yet. So.
I'm gonna be over there eating with you. I haven't eaten yet.
You can start off with dinner. Great.
That's how love is made. Okay, so appreciate that. Any other shout outs? Okay, so a couple things. Where's our basket? Has anybody got the basket card so we can do our drawings? Okay, cool. Where's Rob? Okay, Rob, you want to start drawing for the books? Oh, man. So we probably need a microphone over here, huh? Anybody else want to jump? Okay, first one is, it's on a piece of paper. Jason Young.
Jason Young, come on back.
We need special music. We need Devin. Next time, can we do special like coming down the aisle music when they're coming to get their book? Okay, cool. Yes. While we're picking this, just so you guys know, Denless. If you guys know, Denless isn't here tonight. It isn't because he retired from us or quit, just so you know, but he's expecting a baby possibly this evening. So keep him in your prayers. And when you guys get a chance, reach out to Denless on social media if you don't have his number and just say, hope everything's going good. Congratulations if it's happened, but just reach out. So the next one is
Jim Edebrock.
Come on down. And then we'll have one more book after this, right?
Yeah, last one. And Stephanie Torres. Come on down.
Oh. So you get to pick the one. There we go. Appreciate that. Thanks for donating the books, Rob and Jeff. Appreciate it, guys. And just to conclude here, before we go, so again, Burger Theory is in the same building. You don't need to leave the building. They keep it open, exclusive for us. They stay late. As long as we're eating and drinking, they're going to keep it taking care of us. And right, Kelly, Jenny, that's right. As long as we're eating and drinking, you're not kicking us out, right? We appreciate it. We appreciate it. Again, tonight, Momentum Property Solutions is our drink sponsor. They're taking care of the beginning part of the tab. So thank you to you guys. Also, New Image Construction, thank you again for sponsoring this evening. We really appreciate it. And again, big thank you to staff. Take care of them. They do so much for us. But appreciate you guys. Check out RIA Radio if you haven't a chance. Give us a 5-star review. We really appreciate it. And have a good night. Talk to you guys later.